this is Katina, and in this video I'm going to show you how to properly put together a bass clarinet. It is very important that you put together a bass clarinet very, very carefully. They are easy to damage, especially the long rods and the keys. So here we go. First of all, put your case on the ground with the top side up. It's surprisingly important to make sure that you open it with the top on the top, because if you don't, the whole thing can spill all over the floor and break. So I'm going to lift up the top of my case, which is already on the floor. I pick up my top joint first. This is where I start. Make sure that you have a lot of cork grease on the corks, because this will help you put together the instrument faster with more ease, and you won't have to push so hard or force it together, and then you are less likely to damage these long rods in here that are so easy to bend and break. So starting right here, the most important part of the top joint is paying attention to this key right in here. This is called your bridge key. So I am pressing the A key right here with the side of my finger to lift up that bridge key. You need to lift that up when you put the bottom joint on it, because there is another piece that goes underneath of there, and you don't want them crashing in there. There's cork underneath this bridge key that can get torn off, and that actually will cause your instrument to go out of alignment, and you can have more squeaks and problems that way. So watch out for the bridge key right there. I'm grabbing my bottom joint now. Mine's a little bigger than most because I have a low C extension, which also means I'm more likely to damage these long rods if I'm not careful. I put my thumb on the wooden part here to brace it, and then I hold it right here underneath this row of keys. I do that so that I can get this part of the bridge key to go underneath the bridge key on my top joint. You have to be careful. If you put your hand here, you can actually lift up that bridge key right there, causing damage to the mechanism that I was talking about. All right, here we go. I'm going to get my hand braced under here. I am going to put my A key down right there, and then I'm going to put the two pieces together and twist and push. So you want to do it very carefully so that you don't crash these side trill keys into this rod in the lower joint, and you don't crash your G sharp, C sharp key into these side keys on the lower joint. So you have to be very careful when you put it together. Once you line up that bridge key, it depends on which clarinet you're playing, but you might have an extra mechanism to work with. So I've lined up my bridge key right in there, but also in the front, you have these keys here to make sure that they line up with the lower joint mechanism as well. Be very careful with this side C sharp, G sharp key here, because you can raise that and then you might accidentally bump into that key there too. Really, this is the hardest part about putting this instrument together, is making sure that all of these mechanisms line up nicely. Now, if you have a one-piece bass clarinet, you don't have to worry about any of this. Your life is a whole lot easier, but you'll get it. It just takes a little bit of time and you have to be careful. And if you crash into one of the keys, it's okay, don't worry about it. Just, pay attention to what you did and don't do it next time. All right, the next thing I do is I put on my bell. Once again, because it's the bass clarinet, I have to line up this little key right here with one on the bottom right there. So you can see that key right there. And I am lining up those two keys right there so that I can play my low C. And if you don't have a low C extension, you have a low E flat on your bass, and that's where your E flat is as well. Okay, the next thing I do is I put on my peg, just because I don't want to be putting my bell directly onto the floor and causing any damage to my bell. When you put the peg on your bass clarinet, loosen this screw. Then put the peg in there, put it to the place where you like to have it, then tighten the screw. If you have to make an adjustment, loosen the screw, adjust your peg, tighten the screw. You don't want to slam your bass clarinet peg into the ground to move it to where you want it to go. That will strip the screw, and then your peg will be slipping and your bass clarinet will be hard to control, and then the poor soul that plays the bass clarinet after you is going to have to deal with that too if you are using a school instrument. Now, let's talk about putting the neck on the bass clarinet. Make sure that you hold it on this part of the curve, not down here. This is soldered on and it is very easy to break this. So hold on up here and then you're going to line up this mechanism right there. Twisting and pushing. And I hold this bass clarinet once again with my thumb having most of the pressure and then gently over here and lining up right there. Holding right there. Stay away from the tuning slide because the solder is not the strongest. It's very easy to break this. When you are tuning your bass clarinet, unscrew the screw just like the peg and pull out here. When you get to the place where you're in tune, then you can tighten the screw. You don't want to pull it out or push it in without loosening that screw. You will strip that screw, and then just like the peg being floppy and slipping around, so can this part right here. You have to be very careful about that. When you put the mouthpiece on, I take my ligature off because I find that sometimes I grab it too tight and I'm concerned about damaging my ligature. I put it right here. Because this tuning slide does not have any strength in there, you have to still support the neck when you put the bass clarinet mouthpiece in there. So I actually hold it up here on that strong point of the curve of the neck. So that's where I'm putting that pressure, and then I adjust the mouthpiece to where I need it to be. I put on my ligature, and then I put on my reed. A lot of times when I'm putting together my bass clarinet, I'm actually soaking my reed like this, and you'll see a lot of people doing that too. And then I put the reed on. I leave my ligature on when I put the reed on, line up, and then if it's where I like it, then I go ahead and tighten the screw. Just like the tuning slide and the peg, with your ligature, you want to loosen the screw, get it to where you want it, and then tighten the screw. All right, so my bass clarinet is all put together. I am ready to play. I've had a great rehearsal. Everything's the best. I'm super happy. I'm gonna break everything down. I take my reed off first, and I put my reed in this reed case right here. Put that back in my case. I take my ligature off, then I take my mouthpiece. Once again, support the neck, twist and pull. And there's my mouthpiece. I put my ligature back on my mouthpiece, and then I tighten it. Then I put my mouthpiece cap onto my mouthpiece, put it in my case. With the neck, I hold it back here, twist, pull up. With the upper joint, I'm going to hold it right down here, pull like this, twist and pull. Then I take my peg out by loosening the screw, pulling out the peg. Take the bell off by twisting and pulling. I put my bell carefully in my case, and I put my lower joint in the case. I do have a polishing cloth that I like to use, and I will wipe down my bass clarinet with that so that I get some of the oils from my fingers off of there, and I can keep this silver looking prettier longer. Don't forget to put your peg back in your case. I see pegs lying around. They're very valuable commodities. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments or questions, post them below, and don't forget to click that clarinet hands icon so you don't miss the next video. Bye.